is up, everybody? We are live. Doing it again. Popping off so everybody can join in the fun in the morning. It is Wednesday, May 30th. We have scandals brewing in the NBA. We've got a couple early games to talk about for DFS. We've got a full 10-game main slate, which is nice. So I'm excited, especially after what would be described as a terrible night of fantasy for me last night. So, Jake, how was your night? How'd you end up?
I ended up a little bit, so I was pretty excited about that. It wasn't looking too hot. Bivens Dirks was not the answer, but luckily I had some Duffy too, as we talked about on the live stream, sort of split my exposure. So I just needed one of them to do okay, and Duffy was actually pretty good. So, and then the Coors bats came alive. Red Sox were good, and I had a bunch of them. Braves came alive at the end a little bit, so it was a pretty good night.
Good. Yeah, not for me. So we probably have like 8 people in here right now, so it's not gonna matter too much that I say this out loud.
No.
Yeah, it's still not even refreshed yet. Anyway, not important. We're gonna take a look at the full slate. So we're going to look at the main slate in those 10 games, and then we're going to circle back and touch on a couple of the, or not a couple, we're going to touch on the early slate as well and give a little bit of extra content this morning. So early slate stuff will come at the end, but we're going to walk through this as usual. So if you have any questions on a specific game while we're on it, feel free to pop in and ask. Let's roll. First game up. Cubs and Pirates. Cubs 4.2 run implied total. Pirates 3.8. It's a 54% chance to win for the Cubs. Kyle Hendricks going for Chicago. Joe Musgrove going for Pittsburgh. I've got a little bit of Hendricks and a little bit of Musgrove. Well, a little bit more of Musgrove, but I'm not terribly interested in any part of this game.
Neither am I. Yeah, I think this is going to be sort of a pass for me on the main slate. Like Hendricks is usually a guy I just cross off pretty early during the day, unless he's priced really weird or he's got a really awesome matchup. And this is like where I expect him to be priced here, 8,400 against the Pirates team. He's probably not going to get a lot of strikeouts. There are a bunch of lefties in the lineup. Meadows has just been crushing, but I'm probably not using any Pirates. And then Musgrove was really good in his first start. Got pulled at like 70-some pitches through 7 clean innings. I don't expect the same, but I'm also not targeting against him really. Like Rizzo's fine, Chris Bryant's fine, Contreras is fine, but not guys I'm going out of my way to get in my lineups, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. I have essentially no ownership to any part of this game. One-off couple guys on the Pirates, one-off Cub type stuff, but I don't know, it doesn't feel like that spot. Low implied total. I'm surprised that I get like nothing here, but I don't know. We have early morning ownership projections. Cubs barely projected for any ownership. Pirates barely projected for any ownership. Really low on Hendricks, really low on Musgrove. So that's jiving with like where the public is, and I don't see anything that stands out as something that I would really want to focus on. I mean, I'm always like mildly interested in the Cubs just because they're good.
Right.
But I mean, 4.2 run implied total. Musgrove's good. There's not a lot here that I want to try to talk. Like, I won't have it. It would take really wholesale changes to, I don't know, the pitchers probably for me to get to anything here.
Yeah, I think just 2 pretty good pitchers, and Musgrove's sort of a wild card because he's only made that one start. We kind of know what to expect from Kyle Hendricks. He's just never someone who gets blown up, really. It seems like just goes 5 or 6 innings, gets a strikeout, almost a strikeout per inning. But I don't love him here. I don't love bats against him, and then same thing for Musgrove. So it worries me to not be on the Cubs because we saw last night, even in like okay spots, it's just They have a ton of power, so it worries me a little bit, but I'll probably be off of this game once again.
Same. I might try to just from looking at it, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not giving Musgrove enough respect. I feel like I should force in like 2 or 3 lines of Cubs on both sites. I probably won't, but I feel like I should.
I think if you're playing 150, that's a smart idea.
Yeah. It's probably not a bad plan. But yeah, I really won't have much of anything here. I wish I liked Musgrove more, but I think he's just kind of priced where he needs to be. I mean, he's got a great price on FanDuel, but I don't need to... It's really hard to go all the way down on FanDuel like that. So I'll have him in, like... You can see I have 3% here, and that'll probably be heavier than the field. So that's about all I've got for this game.
The Cubs aren't striking out much. 19.3% against righties over the last month. They've got a top 5 WRC+. Just a tough matchup. I think the top 5, maybe top 10 ISO, just eyeballing it. Like, they're getting on base as well as anyone highest on base percentage. So they're just a tough matchup. So I'm actually talking myself into some Cubs bats as I'm going through this.
There you go. If I were to do any Cubs bats, it would be Ben Zobrist as a one-off on FanDuel, and then either Zobrist or Schwarber on DK. Do we have any real ownership to any of these guys individually now? Only Wilson Contreras projected for any sort of real ownership. Do we have anything on the Pirates? Yeah, no Pirates. So, yeah, I don't even see it as a spot for a one-off, really.
Yeah.
Somebody will make some money when the Cubs stack pops off. That's for sure.
Yeah, it won't be us.
Nats and Orioles. This one will be a little bit more popular. Nats, 5-run implied total. Orioles, 3.5. It's a 66% chance to win for the Nats. Max Scherzer going for Washington, and David Hess going for Baltimore. Clearly, Scherzer going to be, popular. I have him quite a bit on both sites. I'll have him close to my max ownership on FanDuel just because. I mean, he's the most expensive pitcher. He's got that by $2,000.
Yeah.
On both sites, basically. So for me, it's Nats, it's Scherzer, and then it's a ton of Nats bats. Nationals are my #1 stack on DK right now. They're my #5 stack on FanDuel. Really good high end, but there's just a lot more value out there on FanDuel today. We're not projecting very much ownership of the Nats on FanDuel at all right now, which is kind of interesting to me for the amount of times that I got Turner, Harper, Rendon, and Soto. I think it's just kind of a price thing. I've been on the Nats a lot lately, and that's not going to change today. So talk to me about Scherzer, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. Like, if you can afford the almost $14,000 for Scherzer on DraftKings, and you like a cheap SP2, then I think he's a really, really awesome play. I don't see a lot that I like as far as the low end on DraftKings, so it's going to be hard for me to go with Scherzer, Stripling, knowing both of those guys are going to be very popular and stuff. I don't mind playing chalk at pitcher, but I like to get at least one pitcher that I think is going to go under owned, and I think those guys will be relatively highly owned. So Scherzer, awesome matchup. This is a spot where I can see him getting 12, 13, 14 strikeouts. Just a bunch of righties in the Baltimore lineup. They've been striking out a bunch. It's a really awesome matchup. I just don't know how much I'll end up with him because of that super high price tag and because of the guy that's $2,200 cheaper that I think has somewhat similar upside.
I have Scherzer projected for 10.75 Ks today.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the first that I could remember it being that high. That's healthy. Orioles strike out, significantly higher than league average. Scherzer, obviously, maybe the best strikeout stuff in baseball. And you can make that case easily.
I think that is easily the case.
So he could rack them up today.
Yep.
Nats bats, what are you thinking? Because I love them aggressively.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind targeting against Hess. I'm a little concerned that he's been really good at making guys chase. 36% O swing percentage is really, really solid. But that's the only really good thing I see from him. I don't know. I mean, I like the Nats bats, especially the lefties, Harper, Adams, Soto. And then when I like the lefties, it's hard for me not to fit in Rendon because I just think he is a really good hitter. And then Trey Turner just has upside. If he gets on the base paths or if he hits one in the gap, he's probably getting a triple. So it's hard for me not to like the Nats when they're facing a righty with all this lefty power now with Soto and Adams.
I completely agree. And that's probably why I have 172% total ownership spread out across the Nats bats. Most of it stays with Turner, Harper, Rendon, Adams, and Soto. And then you guys, I've got some Mark Reynolds, some Severino. FanDuel, though, is just the big four. Matt Adams is $300 more expensive on FanDuel than DK, so I don't really get to him all that much. Same for Reynolds. He's the same price on both sites. So Adams and Reynolds not having the best pricing on FanDuel. We have very little total ownership of the Nats on FanDuel projected. I'm 5 times the field. Well, no, that's not true. 3.5 times the field on FanDuel right now. That'll get dialed back a bit. I don't like going that far over, but like Juan Soto, for example, we don't have projected to have any real ownership on FanDuel, and I've got him at 27%, so he'll get a bit of a haircut as we move forward. But I like the Nats like as much as I could like anyone here. 5-run implied total. It's hard not to.
For sure, yeah, and I think they'll get more popular as the day goes on. DraftKings, they're pretty affordable. Harper 5,700, but then after that, everyone's in like the 4K range. Soto's under 4K, so they'll be not the highest owned stack, but they'll creep up there, I think, as the day goes on DraftKings.
Agreed. Eric Johnson in the chat. We're gonna touch on the early slate after we finish the main slate, so stick around.
Yeah. Yep. We got you covered. Don't worry.
Yeah, we're gonna hit it all today. There's not a single bat on the Orioles that I want. I assume you're on the same page.
No. Yeah. I mean, I'll take power lefties against Scherzer on smaller slates, but
not on 10. Not on 10.
No. Nope.
Alrighty. Angels and Tigers. Angels 5.1 run implied total. Tigers 3.6. It's a 65% chance to win for the Angels. Shohei Ohtani going for the Angels. Mike Fiers going for Detroit. I've got a ton of Ohtani on DK, and we're not projecting him with any ownership, which is weird to me. So I don't know what to think there. Did you look at Ohtani at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like Ohtani. He's like, the Tigers have one of the lowest WRC plus ratings in the MLB over the last month against righties. Nothing bad to say about Ohtani's stuff. He's got the 6th highest whips per swing in May. He's just amazing. It's amazing that he's doing this in his first year in the MLB. I know he's not like a young gun or anything, but still, like, he looks like already one of the best pitchers in the MLB, capable of huge starts, and against righty-heavy Tigers team, there's no reason to think that he should struggle here. At least I'm not seeing a big reason why. Wind blowing into at 15 miles an hour, it looks like. You can make it a case that, well, he's a top 3 pitcher for me. I think I have a clear 1 and 1A, or 1A and 1B, and then Ohtani's right below. So I like him a ton. I don't know how much I'll get to him, though. Kind of like with Scherzer. I just really prefer Paxton, who's in that same price range.
Yeah, 2 things we need to touch on quick. Well, 3 things, I guess. There's going to be some weather for Nats and Orioles and Cubs and Pirates and Angels and Tigers. Angels and Tigers looking like it could be a little bit more aggressive.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I don't know if that's why we're... Did you see... I mean, we have Ohtani projected to not be owned.
That's weird to me. If that's the case, I will gladly go over the field. Here, let me check. Let me see how low on you're talking about. Yeah, that's really weird. That doesn't make sense to me. That might be a typo. That might get updated. Or maybe Alex doesn't think that the game has a good chance of being played.
I'm leaning towards the game itself.
Yeah, it starts like right at game time. It looks like the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's going to go until 11, at least. So yeah, it might not get in. But
here's the deal for me. I'm not going to speculate on like the hypotheticals of that now. If weather breaks and it looks like Ohtani is startable, he's a guy that I'm going to have a lot of.
Yeah, I love it.
I can't imagine not being way over the field on Ohtani. Like, even if he's projected for 10%, I'm going to be double that on DK. I like him on both sites. I'm going to have him a bunch, barring any fear of rain delays or postponement come 7 o'clock tonight. But as of right now, like, he has to be someone people are looking at, in my opinion.
I mean, I would think so. Just a really good pitcher and a really good matchup, but there's not much else to say. What about Fires? And more specifically, what about the Angels bats?
Angels bats doing backflips. They're my number 1 stack on FanDuel, my number 3 stack on DK. Weather, I'm not as concerned unless there's postpone risk here, but I'm not worried about any rain delays or anything for the bat side of it all. I'm going to have an absolute ton of Angels.
I can't believe I missed out on Louis Valbuena double dong day. I wasn't really on the Angels because I don't really pick on Fulmer, but missed out on the I think it was like 6, 7, 8 for the Angels was the nuts. Maldonado hit a homer, Valbuena hit 2, Kinsler hit 1.
Kinsler hit 1. That was it.
Yeah.
And then Valbuena double dong.
Yeah. Or maybe I don't know if Maldonado donged, but anyways, I like the Angels. Kozar leading off for 3,200 is nice. Prefer him against lefties, but leading off against Mike Fiers is a different story. Trout is 6K, but when you take the whole stack into account here, Valbuena 3,000, Kinsler 3,100, Simmons 4,100, Pujols 3,300. He's pretty affordable, so yeah. I'm not worried about Trout's price. He's going to be very owned if this game looks like it's going to play.
Yeah, I love it all. Only guy that I'm not really getting to is Andrelton Simmons on FanDuel. 3,800 is pricey.
Oh, man, don't leave out the GOAT.
I'll have him on DK. I won't have him that much on FanDuel.
That's fair. That's fair.
Let me see what we're projecting him on FanDuel. It's probably pretty healthy, too, right? No, so, I don't know what the tie is, but I've got him in 1% of the lineups on FanDuel, and that's about where he's at in our projected ownership, and everybody else is double-digit type stuff. So.
He's just a much better hitter. He's a guy that 2 years ago I would have left out of stacks easily, just because his fly ball rate was 15% or something. But now he's changed his approach. He hits a lot of doubles, and he'll hit a handful of home runs as well.
Yeah, I love the Angels. I don't. 1 through 9, I'll have them all in abundance. Cole Calhoun, minimum salary on FanDuel. Give me a break. I love it.
Calhoun?
Yeah. Minimum salary on FanDuel.
Yeah, hasn't he been just dreadful this year?
Probably.
It's a little different when you're not hitting in front of Mike Trout.
Yeah, it's weird. He probably helps.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're going to have to pay attention to the weather in the Cubs game, the Nats game, and this Angels game. If you're planning on using any pitching. It probably won't matter too much for the bats, but either way, those are the weather concerns.
All right, yeah.
Badger and Bournemouth fan, how much do you get to start with on DK? 35,000.
I always forget the number.
Is it 35 or is it 50? One of them's 35 and the other one's 50.
It's
50. DK's 50.
It's 50. Yeah, because two pitchers.
35.
Yep.
It's just one of those things where I don't think about it.
I never look at it.
I don't pay attention to it any longer. It just is what it is.
And I build my lineups by hand, and I still don't look at it.
As far as I'm concerned, these guys don't even really have prices. They just have scores relative to each other.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mets and Braves. Mets 3.7 run implied total. Braves 4.3. When I started this, there was not a total for this game, so let me check and see if that has changed.
I think it's because we don't know who's starting for the Mets. I see Jason Vargas. I didn't know if it was him when I recorded the night shift. Do you have Vargas in there?
Yeah, I got Vargas. And at least 2 sites have an 8 total, so I have it in here, quote-unquote, correct. 56% chance to win for the Braves. Jason Vargas going for New York. Julio Teheran going for Atlanta. Yeah, I don't really love any of this. I got to a couple lines of Vargas because of his salary, but I'm not really wild about any of that. Are we projecting any ownership there for Vargas? Yes, we are. So I've got 6% of Vargas, and I seem to be in the general area of where that's going to be. Nobody seems to be on Tehran, and I'm fine with that. I've got like a smattering of Mets bats. That's about it.
Yeah, Vargas is at least a little interesting to me with Acuna out, just because of the price. And he's missed a fair amount of bats. He's got 11.5 swinging strike percentage. Pretty good. O swing percentage. So he's the kind of pitcher I like at low salary. It's just the matchup against the Braves still sucks. Albies up there. Kurt Suzuki, lefty masher. Whether it's Suzuki or Flowers, both those guys crush lefties. Camargo can hit lefties. Not that I'm not playing Vargas because of Camargo, but just another decent bat in there. And then like Freeman and Markakis are just like they can hit anyone. So I don't know. I'll probably have some Vargas if I punt a pitcher spot, but I'm not going overweight. I actually like the Mets bats against him because of how much hard contact, or I'm sorry, the Braves bats because of how much hard contact he gives up, almost 40% to righties, and then not striking out that many lefties and walking a bunch of guys too. So yeah, I like both sides of it. I'm always a fan of the Braves stack, my Braves. So yeah.
I bought the show over the weekend and started a season with the Braves. Man, the bottom of their lineup is just utter dog shit. Never confident getting like Camargo or Culberson. Like those guys are not fun to hit with.
No, they're not. But I thought Swanson was turning the corner last year, but I don't know. I don't know where he's been this year.
Yeah, nowhere good. Yeah, I have like a little bit of Mets bats, quite a bit of Cabrera, Conforto, and Bruce, which I'm happy about. I love Jay Bruce today. Are we projecting any ownership on Bruce?
I'm sure.
Yes, we are. All right, so basically everything that I have in there for the Mets looks like it's going to be close to what we're projecting.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Mets too. Tehran, 5.64 xFIP to lefties this year. So kind of reverting back to his old ways. I thought he had made some adjustments and was going to be better against lefties, and I was just flat out wrong. It looks like just been getting crushed by lefties, and he starts out with 4 of them. Nimmo, Cabrera, Conforto, Bruce. So it seems like a pretty obvious 4-man stack to go to.
Yeah.
The problem is it fills up all 3 of your outfield spots on DK.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I'll probably go 2 out of the 3. And I think Nimmo will be the lowest owned out of those guys. Is that what we have projected? Conforto and Bruce usually. Yeah. So I think Nimmo is a fine play. He's going to be lower owned, leading off, and he can steal bases, and I think he's just a pretty decent hitter.
I'm with you. Ultimately, I just want this game to kind of stay quiet.
I'm seeing a 9 total on this game.
Really?
I just got uploaded on the sheet I'm looking at.
I just saw 5 dimes. Just refreshed to 9. I trust that a little bit. So that'll make me like the Mets bats and Braves bats a little bit more, and that'll probably pull me out of Vargas.
Okay.
Let me see what that jumps the Mets numbers to. Mets and Braves. Oh, they're fading to the high side, too. That's interesting. Mets and Braves. Bump that to 9. Yeah, they'll climb a little bit. It'll probably benefit them more on FanDuel for me than on DK. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably get like an extra 15% or so of them compared to where I was before with that extra half run-ish.
Yeah, I like that.
Brendan Bowling, what are the numbers in the yellow boxes above each team? I added those this morning, actually, because I didn't know that I would have some ownership information. It's the same as my preference calculation where I give a boost to higher projections. It's just the total of that for each team. It gives me an eyeball of like who I know I'm going to own if I don't have crunches or if I need to make changes. There's usually a pretty solid linear relationship between the total score there and how much ownership I'll have relative to salary. So I just added that as my own personal eyeball. That's it. Not interesting.
Yep.
Go to the Minnesota Jakes, taking on the Royals. Twins 5.1 run implied total. Royals 4.3. With 57% chance to win for the Jakes. Fernando Romero going for Minnesota. Brad Keller going for Kansas City. Yeah, not a game where I'm going to get any pitching. I have 0 of these guys.
Did you see Gibson's stat line yesterday?
No.
He went like 7 innings, 8 Ks. I don't know what to do with the Royals. Like, there's been some really good performances against them lately. But I don't think there should be based on their strikeout numbers and stuff. They seem to put everything in play. But
yeah,
I'm not really betting on Romero here. He's got very good swing and miss stuff, but looks like he's going to be pretty volatile. And then I just don't love the strikeout matchup for the Royals. I'm just going to kind of throw that performance by Gibson out of the, or throw it away. I think Gibson's a pretty good pitcher. He's got good swing and miss stuff. So does Romero, but I'm not banking on that happening again. And do you have Keller going for the Royals?
Yeah.
So he's not going to go very long, right?
I would doubt it.
Yeah, I like the Twins bats.
Same.
The Royals have one of the worst bullpens in the MLB, worst xFIP when I was looking last night, and then 3rd worst WHIP in the MLB. So, like, fire up all these Twins bats. I love Kepler. He's almost always going to be my favorite bat. And then Escobar, Rosario, Morrison. I'm giving a little bit of a bump to the lefties, but no problem with Sano and Dozier either.
Sorry, I got to text the wife.
It's all right. Priorities here.
Well, I mean, she's... I don't want to say below me because that would sound weird, but she's downstairs. So, love the Twins bats. They're my number 2 stack on FanDuel, my number 4 stack on DK. Gibson's line last night, 7 innings, 8 Ks, and a walk, 5 hits, no runs. So, yeah, Gibson ended up looking good. But, yeah, I'm all over the Twins. Dozier, Rosario, Sano, Morrison. I don't get a lot of Escobar or Kepler on really either site. Mitch Garver, a ton. He's minimum salary on FanDuel, so he ends up getting put in there quite a bit. Byron Buxton, only 2,100. Robbie Grossman, 2,200. So getting 3 guys with super low salaries as part of the stacks really makes stuff work. Yeah, I'm going to end up with like an abundance of Twins, and I'm cool with it.
Me too. One of my favorite stacks on the night. 90 degrees, wind blowing out to right, too.
Let me take a look at what our ownership is for them on DK. Not a ton. Like I'm projecting to be way higher on the Twins, particularly Garver and Logan Morrison. I'm fine with that.
I mean,
I wouldn't change a thing there.
Yeah, they should be pretty popular, I think.
Yeah, Dozier with the most popular, and that's the case every night. So, I got 2% Salvador Perez. If that's interesting to you, it's not to me, but if that's interesting in general.
No, I mean, I don't really have any interest in the Royals bats. outside of Moustakis, who against a righty, he's almost always in play. 4,200 is a good price, so if you want to take a shot there, I don't mind it.
Agreed.
But yeah, that's about it.
All right, Giants and Rockies.
Giants. Coors Field.
Yep, 4.8 run implied total. Rockies 6.2. Derek Holland going for San Francisco. John Gray going for Colorado. I'll have some Gray. I won't be happy about it, but I'll have some Gray. And clearly the Rockies bats are high end.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have some Gray too. And I wasn't sure about him last night. I'm a little nervous, but I think he's going to be very low owned in Coors. And then there's just not a lot I like in this price range outside of Stripling on DraftKings. But Stripling's going to be really, really chalky. So
yes,
if I can get John Gray, just because it's a bad hitting environment, whatever. He's a guy who strikes out. When he's rolling, he's striking guys out. So if the Giants aren't putting the ball in play, Gray is going to be having a big game, and he's got more upside, I think, than Stripling in general. And people just aren't going to play him. So the Giants' bats scare me, but again, their best bats are from the right side: Posey, McCutchen, Longoria. The one I'm scared of is Brandon Belt, but I will not be avoiding Gray because of Brandon Belt. So I'll have some Gray. Not going to go crazy with it, but I'll be well over the field, I think. I think he's a pretty good GPP play.
Yeah, we have Stripling with like 6 times as much ownership as Gray.
Mm-hmm.
I will be under on Stripling, even though I like him a lot, and I'll be over on Gray, just because I think that lines up a little cleaner. God, the idea of taking Gray in Coors is just terrifying, but I'm fine with it.
I'll have 3 times what it says for Gray. Right now, that would be my plan, 3 times.
So Rockies are my number 4 stack on FanDuel, my number 2 stack on DK. They're going to be chalky, clearly. So nothing that I'm doing here is like terribly outside of the norm. Only guy that we're projecting low, and I assume it's for reasons that I can't really wrap my head around right now. We basically have no ownership projected for Daniel Castro. I guess probably because he sucks. But I'll have a decent amount of Castro. Not 23%, but 8 or 9 if we're projecting low. There is no best. Facts in the chat said, "What's the best Rocky stack?" Just the Rockies.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong answer. Whatever makes the rest of your lineup work is the best Rocky stack for you, in my opinion.
I agree. Everything screams Rocky stack, whatever way you can fit it in. Obviously, you want Arenado and Story against a lefty and Coors. Desmond's fine. I don't mind Castro. I'm hoping Ionetta's in the lineup instead of Wolters, but I don't know. Does Wolters usually catch John Gray? Is that why they have him?
I don't know. I mean, this is a game where you would expect Ionetta to hit against Holland.
Yeah.
And not Wolters, so I'm guessing he probably just catches Gray.
Okay. Yeah, if that's the case, I don't really want to play Wolters against Holland, but
no.
Holland, 44% hard contact, 46% fly ball rate against righties. He throws a sinker, he throws a curve. Those are not going to break like they should in Coors. So I think he gets pounded here. Run total for the Rockies probably going to jump up as the day goes on. They're going to be super chalky, but I love them.
Facts in the chat again. Would you recommend Arenado and Blackman if you can make it work?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to, just as an exercise for what we're doing right now, I'm going to see if I have any of those lines right now. Which I'm sure that I do. But. So in the 150 lines on DK that I ran, I got 14 unique lines with Arenado and Blackman in the same line. So we've got a Rocky stack with some of the Nats, and a one-off Brian Dozier with Urena and Stripling. So, like, you're not going to have the most exciting pitching options. That'll be the place where you have to, give something up. So, lots of Urena, John Gray, Eovaldi, Musgrove. Right. That's where you kind of got to be. But yeah, you can do it, and really, really easily at that end. Hi, Dingo. My dog's in here now. Do you have anything else you want to add on Rockies?
No, I don't. They're just a really awesome stack.
Yeah, I get to like know Charlie Blackmon. Hey, buddy, quiet down. Go lay down. Crazy dog.
Is it just because it's lefty-lefty?
It's because he's 50-100 mostly, and lefty doesn't help. I don't get to him a lot because of his price on FanDuel. It's generally prohibitive for an outfielder. Like if he played a more unique position, I'd probably get him more. But it's really hard for me to justify paying up for him. Like I can get Noel Cuevas in the 2-hole for 3,000. Just it's really hard to like make things work. To take Blackmon on FanDuel in a Rocky stack means that you're probably taking a pitcher that doesn't have the chance to be like the top scoring pitcher of the day.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where I end up.
Okay.
Rays and A's. Rays 3.5 run implied total. A's 4.5. It's a 60% chance to win for the A's. Nady Eovaldi going for Tampa. Shamanaya going for Oakland, who I feel like throws almost every day. I'm getting a lot of Eovaldi.
Ooh.
And like way less Manaya. So
I think I'm
pick that apart, I guess.
I don't like really either of those guys tonight, especially Eovaldi. First major league appearance since August of 2016. He had a really good fastball. I don't remember exactly what his injury was,
Find out.
but I remember him being super erratic at times. And then he had 3 single-A starts, which went okay. And then he went up to AAA in his last start and got blasted. 8 earned runs. Yeah, so now he's facing major league hitting for the first time in 2 years. And I think that the A's could really get to him here. So I got to mention Jed Lowry and Matt Olson, Matt Joyce, Matt Chapman. Like, I like the A's stack, and I think it'll be relatively low on. I think Eovaldi will be a popular option as the day goes on, but I'm on the Oakland stack.
Very little Eovaldi ownership right now. I won't have anywhere near the 17% that's showing right now. That'll be a guy that gets quite the haircut. I don't trust him all that much. Coming back off his second Tommy John surgery, so, not the best quality in his arm any longer. It's been sewn back together quite a bit. And then Manaya, right now I'm underweight on him, which is kind of scary.
I don't think it's scary.
I just don't like the Rays.
Manaya hasn't gotten double-digit swinging strike. Hasn't gotten a double-digit swinging strike rate in his last 4 starts. And then in May, he's in the bottom 1/4 in the MLB in whiffs per swing percentage. So he's just not missing as many bats. So I'm a little worried about him, and then not all that comfortable targeting against the Rays. They've done a good job putting the ball in play. So I think I'm gonna be off Manaya. I don't know. Is he supposed to be popular?
Not really. One of the 5 guys that have double-digit ownership, but he's pretty low.
Yeah, I probably won't have much Manaya at all.
Yeah, same. And I'm relatively indifferent on the hitters. I got Joyce quite a bit as a one-off on FanDuel, only 2,600. Similar scenario for Daniel Robertson on FanDuel. One-off shortstop option, hitting leadoff. I don't know. This isn't a game for me. I just kind of wanted to stay quiet.
That's fair. I just like some Oakland hitters. And then I don't mind Cron or Ramos against Manaya to be contrarian.
Yeah, I get a decent amount of Ramos as a one-off catcher, which I'm fine with. I won't have a Rays stack. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty positive of that. They're not the worst options in the world, but not the best.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Marlins hosting the Padres. Marlins 3.5 run implied total. Padres 3.8. It's a 54% chance to win for the Padres. Jose Urena going for Miami. Clayton Richard going for San Diego. I'm getting like an astronomical amount of Urena to start. We have him projected in double-figure ownership, but I'm way above the field right now on Urena. Did you look at him at all? Because I think he's a really nice option tonight.
Yeah, his strikeouts are up and stuff. If he's going to be chalky, I probably have a lot less interest in him. And at that price, with not a lot of value on the slate, I'm sure he will be. I don't know. I'm sort of indifferent to Urena. I will probably have some of him, but I'm likely going to end up under the field. The hard contact is worrisome. He's always gotten hit pretty hard by lefties. So if he's going to be chalk, I'll probably be off of him.
Yeah, I think I'm going to end up going double the chalk here.
Really?
I don't know. Probably. That's probably a fuck up. He's not super chalky or anything, teens. But
yeah, I mean, if you think he's a good play, it's a really good park, and he can strike some guys out. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a good start here.
Yeah, what do I have his strikeouts at for today? Not Richard Urena, whoever the hell that is. I have Urena at 5.6 strikeouts.
Yeah, if he did that and he went 5 or 6 innings, you'd be thrilled.
Yeah. Like, I've got him projected for 16.9 on DK.
Okay.
It's just like
that's pretty fair.
3.5 run implied or 3.8 run implied total for the Padres. It's a great park to be in. It's just kind of like a casual starter. Like I'm just expecting very little fireworks, and I'll take that at that price point.
Yeah, I mean, I get the logic of it for sure. So I have no issue with it. What about Clayton Richard?
I got 3 out of 100 or 3% of him on DK. We're projecting a little bit higher than that, so it looks like I'll probably be underweight on him. He's not a guy that I usually get to all that often.
Yeah, I mean, he also makes some sense, but I really have respect for some of these Marlins hitters, the good ones. So Real Muto, Castro, and Brian Anderson against lefties. They just all hit lefties really hard, over 40%. Hard contact against them. They don't really strike out all that often. So I actually don't mind a little Marlins stack. Once again, Anderson, Castro, and Real Muto. Pretty cheap. No one's going to play him in that park, but I think they have the power to get the ball out. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if 1 or 2 of them hit home runs. But like I always say, doubles are fine too. Doubles and RBIs.
We're not projecting any real ownership on either of these teams from a hitting perspective. Padres slightly on FanDuel, but that's about it. This is more of a game for pitching, but really, it's another game that I'd like to just stay quiet.
Yeah, except for that Marlins 2-3-5.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly have like the platoon advantage.
Right. And Richard does really struggle with some righty power. Going back to last year, gets hit fairly hard.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate the idea of Cameron Maybin as a one-off outfielder on FanDuel. He's only 2,300, so he'd be another type of guy where I don't expect any ownership. But if you've got 2,300 left, like, he's a guy with, I don't know, maybe I don't really like him. He kind of sucks.
Maybin or Cole Calhoun?
Cole Calhoun. Well,
I think I'd take Maybin.
Hold on. Yeah, probably Maybin. If Calhoun's gonna be 17% owned and Maybin is gonna be 1, then yeah, I would take Maybin.
Man,
I don't think Calhoun's 17 times better than him.
Yeah, I don't think that's a hot take. Yeah.
No.
So.
Yeah, this is just not a game for offense. Speaking of games that don't have a lot of offense, Phillies and Dodgers. Phillies 3.1 run implied total, Dodgers 4.1. It's a 62% chance to win for the Dodgers. Zach Eflin going for the Phillies. Ross Stripling going for the Dodgers. Stripling going to be chalkiest pitcher of the slate, second chalkiest pitcher of the slate, somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm going to have a ton of Stripling on both sites, and I am perfectly fine with that. Phillies right now are my second worst team on the slate on DK and second worst team on the slate on FanDuel. So, needless to say, not looking at the Phillies at all. This game is just Stripling and then some scattered Dodgers bats.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue against Stripling for 7,300 in a really good matchup at home. Not worried about the pitch count, really. Yeah, it's a really good spot for Stripling. He's going to be chalky, but I get it. I don't think he has the highest upside in the world, but I think he's relatively safe. So I'll have some John Gray ownership just because I don't want to be all in on Stripling, and I like that pivot in tournaments, but Stripling a really solid option.
Yeah, I have Stripling as the fourth highest fantasy total for today.
I think, yeah, he comes up huge on my model, like right under Scherzer. So, well, not right under Scherzer, but in terms of value,
yeah,
he's up there.
Dodgers bats. I get a lot of Grandal as a one-off catcher, and then a smattering of Dodgers stack on FanDuel, particularly in the Puig range, where he's only 2,600. We're not really projecting all that much ownership on the Dodgers on the FanDuel side. I'll probably be overweight on them slightly. This game is not a game for offense. We're projecting basically no ownership to the Phillies, so I'm fine by that.
Yeah,
I don't want hitters.
Yeah, Grandal and Bellinger, I think I'll have a little bit of Eflin giving up a bunch of fly balls and hard contact to lefties. I mean, he's striking them out at a really good rate as well, but when he's getting hit, it's pretty hard. And Grandal and Bellinger certainly have the power to get it out in LA.
Yeah. Circling back, yes, my dog's name is Dingo. Please don't sit up after you hear that, pup. And then, are there any statistics out there about pitching on a getaway day? Not that I'm aware of.
I don't know. We don't really talk about narratives much here.
Yeah.
Unless there's like bad blood between teams and you might have someone get ejected or something, then I don't really think narratives in baseball matter all that much for DFS.
It's pretty hard to be like, oh, I'm going to go up and get a hit. It's like, well, you're probably not.
Probably going to strike out, yeah.
There's like a 70% chance you're not going to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's different in baseball. All right, final game of the main slate, at least. Rangers and Mariners. Rangers 3-run implied total. Mariners 4.8. It's a 70% chance to win for the Mariners. Matt Moore going for Texas. James Paxton going for Seattle. This right here is probably your chalkiest pitcher of the day on both sites. I'll have up to my ownership caps of Paxton. He looks great. It's hard to not want to. It's hard to not have Paxton tonight, in my opinion.
I completely agree. The Rangers are one of my favorite teams to target against, if not my favorite. Like, they have power in their lineup, but 27.5% K rate against left-handed pitching over the last month, which is second highest in that span, I think, only behind the Mets. Paxton should mow a bunch of these guys down. And if you're not going with Scherzer, and I wonder if the ownership for Scherzer and Paxton is going to be pretty close. I think point per dollar, Paxton has a ton of upside. Like, couldn't you see him getting like 40 DraftKings points here? Yeah. And I'm not saying he's going to get a complete game or anything, but the Rangers, like, when you watch them, they're just going up there trying to hit home runs every time, especially Gallo and Odor and Guzman. Like, so Paxton's matchup is just fantastic. He's at home. It's good pitching weather, some wind blowing in. Huge favorite. Yeah, I'm in love with him. I'm going to try to be over the field.
Really?
Yeah. I'll have so I'm going to have Paxton or Scherzer in probably all of my lineups. So I may come in underweight. Yeah. I don't think you can make a lineup with both of them, but if you could somehow do that, that'd be pretty sweet.
Only way to find out.
Yeah, there is.
Well, I mean, there's multiple ways to find out, but I've got a very specific one that we also use all the time. So,
let's see.
Scherzer and Paxton. We're projecting a total of 89% ownership between those two. So, almost every lineup should expect to have one of each.
Yeah, I just have a hard time believing that one or both of them, or I have a hard time believing that they both bomb or both do poorly here compared to their relative pricing.
So you can do Scherzer and Paxton with a Rockies Padres stack with a one-off Johan Camargo.
You know, I could probably do it with a Marlins stack, actually, like Brian Anderson and Castro. So, I'm sure you can.
Marlins, Mets with Sucre as your one-off cat. You can't really do it. You can't get to enough guys that don't suck.
I'll play around with it, but
Marlins Mariners with a Maldonado one-off.
Not my favorite.
No, it's you don't want this.
No, but you could probably like that. At least you could do like Paxton Ohtani or something like that. Like
sure.
That's nasty if you can do that.
Yeah. What do you think of Mariners bats? They are my third most owned stack on FanDuel. We project them to be the second chalkiest stack of the slate for FanDuel.
Yeah.
I'm underweight on them on DK, and we don't have them as particularly interesting. So pricing is paramount here.
Yeah, so Moore is like a reverse splits lefty, which is pretty rare. But he's also getting teed off on against righties. So that seems suboptimal for him.
Yeah.
And then you've got Nelson Cruz in there. He'll be one of the chalkiest players on the slate. Mitch Haniger, I think, should be, but he'll be probably significantly lower owned than Nelson Cruz just because he's not as big of a name. Ryan Healy can smack lefties around. I'm not skipping over Kyle Seager purposely, at least. Even because of a lefty-lefty matchup, Segura leading off, Span if he's in there. I love Zunino for 3,300. Yeah, I'm all over these Seattle bats.
Yeah, I won't have them all that much on DK. Like I've got half of where our expected ownership there, but I'm also right in line with them on FanDuel. Segura, Haniger, Cruz. I mean, Cruz, I'm hitting close to ownership caps. And then I'm getting a lot of the bottom half of their order because of their price points. So Heredia, Zunino. That's way more Gordon Beckham than I'd like to have, but I love the Mariners tonight. Like I said, third most owned stack for me on FanDuel right now.
Yeah, I love it.
Is there anybody else I wanted to touch on there? We actually have Haniger projected slightly higher than Cruz ownership on DK.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because of the price? Yeah, you get a little bit of a discount with Haniger.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then, yeah, I'll have a lot of Paxton. I'll be way underweight. But, because I'm not going up to north of 50. Can't do it. It's too much.
Yeah. That is certainly fair.
Let's take a peek at some crunches. Give me two starters.
Let's go with Paxton Stripling. Let's see. I think that's going to be a pretty chalky pairing.
It should be. What is that? 56, 47. Yeah. We would expect like 25% of the lines in a tournament to be Paxton Stripling right now.
Yeah. That just like eyeballing it, it looks like you can do quite a bit. So
yeah, I mean Rockies with anybody makes it easy. Twins and Nats. I mean, you can grab all of the best stacks for this. Like, Nats, Rockies, Angels, Twins are my top 4 stacks, like, by a mile. And that's everything that's popping up here. Nats, Rockies, Angels, Twins. They're in the 4 highest projected lineups. So if you have Paxton and Stripling, you're also bringing along the 4 best statistically rated stacks on DraftKings for me.
Yeah.
So that's going to be easy. It makes me not really like that Paxton Stripling pairing because of how popular it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like, I expect the Ohtani ownership projection that we have to change, but I would rather look at something like Ohtani Stripling, which is going to be very similar from a lineup perspective, but like 1/20th of the ownership if it projected out the way that it is right now.
Yeah, I'm sure Ohtani will be owned if that game looks like it's going to be played.
Yeah, so I like that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a pretty logical pivot.
Wow, I get a lot of Ohtani without Stripling. Who's the... okay, so he goes with Urena a lot on my end. So, like, Ohtani, Urena, if these ownership projections were expected to be right, we've got Urena times Ohtani. So that's like a 1 in 700 lineup. If you're in a 20,000 person tournament, you're expecting like 28 other people to have that combo. I like that quite a bit. And you're still getting Nats and Twins and Rockies and Angels, all of those top stacks, but your pitching combination is essentially unowned. So it's something to think about.
That is. That's nice. That's why we do this stuff.
Yeah. So like if you're using Stripling and Paxton, you kind of want to go lower owned on that second guy, whether that's Urena, Manaea, Joe Musgrove, John Gray. If you're like me, Eovaldi. Like those are the things that'll get you differentiation and still give you big stacks.
Yeah.
You ready to take a look at some early slate, people?
Let's do it. I'll speak for the people.
I think they're ready. Let me just make sure we didn't miss anything in the chat over a little bit. Shauna Evans, love the live morning show, but what time does it start? I don't know. Sometime in the 8:45 to 9:15 range. It's not going to be live every morning. We're going to try to do it when we have some like early game stuff to talk about. So if there's ever a night where it's just going to be all late stuff, we probably won't go live. We'll just record it and put it out. But anytime we can talk about early stuff, we're going to try to do that now. So somewhere around 9 Eastern. Let me adjust these times. So let's set this to 5 o'clock. Delete that. So we've got a 4-game slate on DK and a 3-game slate on FanDuel, which is just glorious.
Just amazing how much they don't communicate.
Yeah. All right, so let's take a peek here at what we've got going. I gotta filter basically the exact opposite of everything that I have on here now, so it's just clicking and clicking and clicking. And then let's pop open our early slate ownership projections, which can be found at awesemo.com if you have a premium membership, which why wouldn't you?
You're just missing out if you don't, so.
Exactly. Alrighty, FanDuel early ownership. There's 1. And then DK early. No crunches for the early slate. I'm not playing it, so I don't have much to talk about. Do we want to go through the games like we normally do?
We can go through them.
Your call. I'll do whatever.
Yeah, we can go through each one.
Okay. I mean, we'll
go,
be a little bit more abbreviated.
Yeah. I've just got a few notes on each one.
Blue Jays and Red Sox. Red Sox 5.4 run implied total. Blue Jays 4.1. 63% chance to win for the Red Sox. Sam Gaviglio going for Toronto. Eduardo Rodriguez going for Boston. I would have expected more ownership for Rodriguez there, but I'm not terribly shocked. I love the hitters in this game. Whether that's... Let me sort this. So, yeah. I like the Red Sox and Jays from a hitting perspective. They're not my favorites. They'll be probably like my they would be like my third and fourth most owned stacks. But they grade out really well. And I would probably have a decent amount of Eduardo Rodriguez.
Yeah, so I think Red Sox, Indians, and the Diamondbacks are going to be very popular. The Diamondbacks allow you to do a lot. So Red Sox will be popular. I don't mind a contrarian stack against Eduardo, but it's hard not to use. I was playing around with lineups before, and it's kind of hard not to use Eduardo if you're using, well, Eduardo or Alex Reyes if you're using Kluber, which I don't know why you wouldn't want to use Kluber on this slate.
Kluber projected for quite a bit of ownership.
Yeah, I saw that. I'll refresh it now that I haven't refreshed it in a while, but
yeah, it's
so Erod is one of the 4 pitchers I think that's in play for me.
Yeah.
So the 4 pitchers are him, Reyes, Kluber, and then I think Corbin's in play, but I probably won't end up on much of him. So that's sort of where I'm at. Red Sox bats are awesome against a righty always, and Gaviglio is just maybe average at best. I like smoke against Eduardo Rodriguez, but like they're not even priced that well, the Blue Jays, so they'll be very contrarian as a stack, I think.
Yeah, probably. I'm gonna run some crunches here in the background.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if I had to pick some favorite bats for the Red Sox, even if Mookie Betts is out, I still love JD and Devers and Christian Vasquez. I don't mind. Like, obviously, you got Benintendi. Bogart's probably my favorite guy on the slate for his price, $4,200 at shortstop. Get the shortstop position out of the way. It's either going to be him or Lindor. Oh, wait, Lindor's not in the lineup. Wow. Okay, so, man, I'm going to have a ton of Bogarts then.
Yeah, Bogarts looks great. I mean, the Red Sox just look awesome. If I'm going by my numbers, the way that I would look at it right now, I'd expect the Red Sox to be either my 3rd or 4th stack on DK. Indians and Diamondbacks being 1, 2. And then same sort of scenario on FanDuel. Indians and Diamondbacks would be clear 1, 2. But I think the Red Sox would probably be very low owned on FanDuel for me personally. Not the best pricing. They grade out as like the 5th best option for me. So I would think the ownership would follow suit.
Yeah.
I mean,
we can move on to the next
game. There are 5 teams that are functional and 3 that aren't. So
yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at.
Me too. Do you want to go to just run through White Sox Indians quick?
Yeah, let's do that. White Sox and Indians. I mean, we're not really talking about the White Sox. It's a 5.6 run implied total for the Indians. They are the best stack, I would say, on both sites, just from a high-end perspective. Love the entire Indians lineup. I would have most of the lineup in abundance. And then Corey Kluber. I mean, the odds of him being the highest scoring pitcher of the early slate are pretty gigantic. Yeah. I have him projected almost, well, it's like 8.5 points more than Corbin. So
yeah.
It's really hard to not have Kluber.
I agree. It's also hard to fit him in because you got some expensive bats, but a guy on his own team, Greg Allen, 2,900 on DraftKings, leading off, like, he's going to be mega chalk, and he should be. But I really like all these lefties against Ronaldo Lopez, 617 xFIP against lefties. It's kind of all you need to know. and then the Indians just really deep, even without Lindor in the lineup. So Yonder Alonso, Belkey, I'll even play some Jason Kipnis. No problem with Edwin Encarnacion. Just this entire lineup is going to be a staple of my lineups.
So I got 40 lines of Kluber out of 100 when I ran it. 80% of those go to Alex Reyes. The other 20 go to Eduardo Rodriguez. Are you looking at Reyes at all? Because he's a guy that we've obviously never talked about. Now that he's back, he's popping up a ton for me.
Yeah, so he's making his first start in over a year. I think people are excited to play him, and you've seen some talk on Twitter about him if you follow some of the DFS guys. In his last 2 starts, so one in AA, one in AAA, he's gone at least 7 innings and 13 strikeouts in each of them.
He threw a ton of pitches too, which made me happy.
Yeah, so I don't know how you argue against playing him. The matchup is not great. He could certainly have a humbling outing here against the Brewers, who, I like them, so I like Yelich and Shaw, but it's hard to get away from playing Reyes.
Yeah.
Just after those 2 performances, I don't know. I really like him, but Yelich and Shaw are good contrarian bats, sort of leverage bats in the slate, I think.
Yelich and Shaw. Let me see how I see him here. What do we have him projected for? Yeah, I would agree with what you just said there. I love the Cardinals bats. They grade out really well for me.
Really?
They would be what I think would be my number 3 stack on FanDuel in the morning.
Yeah.
I love Reyes. I think Kluber and Reyes, we're expecting probably like 30, somewhere in the 35 to 40% range of all lineups in the tournament would be Kluber Reyes.
Yeah, I think that should be how it is. Like Erod, if he's going to be significantly lower owned than Reyes, I'll be overweight on Erod, but it's hard to argue with what Reyes has done. And then I sort of agree with you on the Cardinals bats. Guerra, over 50% hard contact against righties this year, and the Cardinals obviously have a ton of righties with a lot of power. So Jose Martinez and Ozuna both priced pretty nicely. Tyler O'Neill, Jed Jorko, these guys can all hit Guerra, I think. So I'll have a bunch of Cardinals as well.
Yeah, I think if the ownership was what we have it right now, where Reyes is basically double Eduardo Rodriguez, I would rather have Eduardo Rodriguez and Kluber in a GPP.
Yeah.
Because I think that the overall performance between Rodriguez and Reyes is a coin flip, and it's not even remotely close to being double the ownership. I like Reyes a lot. I can't get to that sort of gap. So,
yeah, it's a good ownership pivot for sure.
Yeah. And then something like Corbin and Rodriguez, if you're full-on fading Kluber, I think gets you there. Or even Corbin and Reyes.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Corbin. He was okay, or he was good in his last matchup against Oakland, but like we talked about yesterday with Snell, they've been one of the worst teams against left-handed pitchers, lately at least. And then the Reds aren't striking out that much against lefties. So I actually like Suarez and Duvall a ton against Corbin, and I'll have healthy amounts of each of those guys. Maybe some more righties for the Reds once their lineup comes out. I am a little bit worried about Corbin in general, but definitely some Suarez for me.
Duvall on FanDuel is a great play. He's only 2,800. Makes for a really nice one-off option.
I like that. Brewers lineup just came out pretty much as expected.
Okay. Yeah, Kluber's ownership on DK will be interesting. We had a question. We'll take this as the last question. If you had to pick one starting pitcher on FanDuel, who would it be? I don't really know how to answer that other than saying, it's pretty clearly Corey Kluber. I have him projected to be 12.5 points clear of Corbin for second. So I would rather have Kluber and figure it out with the bats. If Kluber is too obvious of an answer, it's pretty clearly Alex Reyes at 6,200.
Yeah.
Those are real. I mean, they are the 1A and 1B answers for sure.
I think so too. And then just to talk about, like, Arizona bats are in an awesome spot. Sal Romano, we both like picking on him. Dyson on FanDuel is 2,300. He may lead off. Lamb's pretty cheap. Descalso, Peralta. These guys are all very well priced on FanDuel. Same thing with DraftKings. Descalso, 3,300. Love him and Peralta. So I'll have a bunch of Diamondbacks. So I'm kind of on the chalk here. I'm just hoping to mix and match, get some guys lower in the order, and crazy things happen on these few game slates because everybody has ownership. So you get a 9-hole hitter to double dong, and your slate's over if you don't have him. So
at least from a winning perspective.
Yeah.
No weather issues early. Little bit of rain potentially in White Sox Indians, but nothing that should stop the game from happening. So
yeah, the Brewers, it's showing weather there, but they have the retractable roof, so don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. I think that's it for this one.
I think so.
Do you got anything you want to plug?
Let me check if there's. I'm pretty sure that game's tonight. I can't remember if they have 1 or 2 days. Okay. Yeah, so it'll be the second game of the Stanley Cup Finals, Vegas leading 1-0. I'll do my article right now, actually. And should be fun, man. That was a sick game on, was that Monday? Yeah, Monday. So I'm excited to watch. I'm excited to dig into last game, see how the matchups were, and then I'll have my stack and my individual skaters that I'm targeting for the showdown slate.
NBA is tomorrow, so I don't have anything to plug there. It's just more baseball content for me. Starting to take a look at soccer. Shush. Don't talk about it. But it's happening.
There we go.
That's kind of it. I'll make sure to tweet out some interesting stuff from one of my 5 burner accounts in a little bit. So
there you go.
I'll do that. Maybe talk some smack about Jake in one of my burner accounts.
As you should.
Yeah.
I deserve it for the Bibbins Dirks love last night. Well, not love, but Bibbins Dirks pivot, I guess. So apologies if you played Bibbins Dirks. But I warned you. So I said, let me do it. Let me deal with the consequences. And I actually end up winning money with a lot of Bibbins Dirks. So
well, that's good.
That's how it works sometimes. You just get lucky.
Yeah. All right, guys. That is everything. Just seeing the... Can you guys talk about the Brewers? I can't because I don't like them. I wouldn't have them. Or at least not much of them. We're not projecting very much ownership for them either. So, yeah, I don't... My talking about the Brewers is that I don't want the Brewers.
Yeah, I mean, just those 2 leverage bats, I think Yelich and Shaw are fine, but Race looks good.
Alrighty, people. That is it. We will talk to you again tomorrow. Adios.